Jeff Droz, please report to surgery. Here we go.
All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's good to see kind of a full house out here today. It's been a busy day like that, last few days, a lot of community engagement, so I appreciate everyone being here. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order here for the Town Council meeting. Let's see here. Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. It's about 6:05 p.m. We'll go ahead and start the meeting. First off, as I said, we just came out of closed session, so I'd like to go ahead and have the town attorney give us a briefing from that.
Thank you. The town council met in closed session with respect to the one item that's on the closed session agenda, and the town council voted unanimously to defend the litigation that's listed on the agenda, and that concludes the report.
Thank you. Moving on, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Councilmember Zabel.
Present.
Droz.
Here.
Lombardo.
Here.
Schooler. And Mayor Dennison.
Dennison here. I'd like to go ahead and start off tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance, and afterward we'll have an invocation led by Pastor Casey Coleman from the Calvary Baptist Church. So Mayor Pro Tem, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I would love to.
Thank you.
Please rise and place your hand over your heart. Repeat after me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Good evening.
I would like to mold my prayer with the words of Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, which say, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight." Heavenly Father, we come before you in prayer, acknowledging you to be our Creator, our hope, our life, our peace. As we read these words from Proverbs, we acknowledge, Lord, that we are prone to trust in ourselves. We are prone to trust in others. We are prone to trust in the things of this life that are material in nature. We are prone, Father, to rest on our own understanding, our own wisdom. But we're asking tonight, in all things, and even in the details of this meeting, as we lead our lives, as we shepherd our families, as we seek to be the citizens that you have called us to be in this world, we pray, Father, that we would trust in you, not with some of our hearts, but with all of our hearts. Lord, help us not to lean on our own understanding, but in all of our ways acknowledge you, for you have promised to direct our paths. So we need you, Lord. Your word acknowledges that Christ is the good shepherd, and a good shepherd is one who leads and guides into the pathways of righteousness for your name's sake. So lead us and guide us by your truth. Give us your grace, give us strength, give us wisdom, and help us, Lord, to do what is right, not in our own eyes, but in your eyes. And so we thank you for this city. We thank you for the town council and their hard work, all that they do for our city. And we pray, Father, in every aspect that you would bless our town, and may truth, justice, and righteousness prevail. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. That was good.
Thank you, Pastor. So next on our agenda are presentations, introductions, and recognitions. And starting off, we have a Basin Transit update from MBTA. I fell backwards, yeah, thank you. Thanks for straightening it out.
Is that better?
That's better.
Because we recently rebranded, I thought it would be fun to start with just a look of the last 30 years. We started in the early 90s with a neon arrow look. Then we moved on to a pastel landscape look in the early 2000s. And now we're more modern and vibrant with a fun lizard. We offer services. We do 6 local fixed route. We offer 2 services to Palm Springs and 5 origin to destination routes, which is known as our Ready Ride. We also offer a transportation reimbursement escort program that we started in 2018. And this reimburses seniors and disabled persons mileage if they get someone else to drive them. Like, we don't go to Loma Linda, so if they need to get to Loma Linda and they have a neighbor, a friend, a relative, we will reimburse their mileage for those trips. The fun thing we do is Transportation Assistance Grant. This is coming up, you'll probably see it on our website starting August. We offer grant assistance to local government and nonprofits to assist with transportation. This can be, they need a van, they need bus passes, anything transportation related that can help our seniors and disabled. We regulate taxi. We do this by inspecting their vehicles, and we drug test and background check the drivers. We do not regulate Uber or Lyft, just the taxis. We did start a year ago going cashless fares. If you download the Token Transit app, you no longer need the exact money in your pocket to board a bus. Our current projects, we just got awarded to provide free bus fares for students K through 12 this next school year. We're very happy about that. In addition, we partnered with the Boys and Girls Club, so we're going to have a bus in front of Walmart on July 29th, and it'll be Pack the Bus. We'll accept all school supply donations, and then the Boys and Girls Club will be putting on an event to distribute those to all students throughout Morongo Basin. Every time grant opportunities arise, we're fixing a bus stop. The next 2 in the works are in front of Motel 6 in 29 Palms and in front of the post office in Morongo Valley. We're also looking at providing technology on the buses. Our drivers are still paper and pencil. We want real-time tracking for our passengers, digital displays, electronic passenger counting, and improved communications using VoIP because radios out here don't work all the time. Our future projects, we're looking at constructing solar canopies with overhead charging plugs because we do need to go all zero emission buses starting 2026. We are looking at enhancing service and hours. I've done a lot of outreach this last year, and the 2 common concerns I get is our highway route stops running between the hours of 4 and 6 p.m. And this is to give our drivers time to have a lunch break, but I'm told it's a very inconvenient time for them to have a lunch, so we're working on that. And our Ready Ride services are only Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, and each bus is assigned a certain location. And so we're getting a consultant to help us figure out how we can be more encompassing and not have, one bus stuck just in Yucca Valley, because what if that Yucca Valley person wants to get to somewhere in 29? Then they're having to transfer, so it's not very convenient. And last but not least, we're starting an ambassador program. We're looking for volunteers that will help new riders or scared riders learn how to ride the bus and maybe start at one destination and ride with them to their final destination to get them used to how to ride the bus. We already have a couple signed up, so we're excited about that. And that's all for my update. Are there any questions?
Mayor and council, this was a requested presentation today, and just for those that may not know, MBTA, or Basin Transit now, is a joint powers authority between the town of Yucca Valley, city of 29 Palms, and county of San Bernardino. And from a staff perspective, we're just super excited that Sherry's on board as a GM now. It's been great to work with, very accommodating in any of our requests, and it's been a great time since she's been there.
Well, thank you, Sherry. Is there anyone from the public that would have any questions for Sherry from Basin Transit? Seeing none, I'd just like to start off by saying I'm glad that you're paying close attention to the bus stops along the area, and you're going through systematically and making those improvements. I think that's great. You know, as you talked about shaded solar canopies and stuff, and I know in the desert time it's difficult for people. So to get more engagement in there, those rest stops or bus stops, the pickups are very important. I do like the smaller transportation options that people have, that you see up and down more in the neighborhoods as opposed to the highway. I think that's very good, and I see it heavily used for people that need to get to market and back. I did have some folks a couple of years ago that contacted me about what you just mentioned. They were kind of hesitant to get on the bus because they didn't know how it all worked. So the ambassador program that you talked about, I think, is just a really great idea, and I fully support that, just to get those newbies on there so they feel more comfortable and they don't get on the bus and bypass their stop or get lost in the system, because that has happened, and that's what got me engaged in it. They just basically got lost in the basin and didn't know how to catch the bus to get back.
Yikes.
That was their thing. So thank you for that. Council, anyone else?
Yeah, Councilmember Drodes and myself, we serve on the Basin Transit Authority. We are thrilled with the performance of our general manager. Sherry's been with the agency for a very, very long time. She was promoted within the organization, so she does know the Morongo Basin, and she knows the transportation business. I believe you're one of 4 large districts that are run by powerful women, and we're glad to be part of that team. Sherry does a great job of dealing with morale, with customers, and with just the future of transportation. You've seen how much it's changed with electric cars, with carpooling, with different things like that, and also the regulations with clean air. So it's really great that we have those clean air buses that we drive now. We will transition into electric buses here in the future. But if anyone has noticed, our buses are always really well kept. I don't know if you've ridden transportation in other communities, and it can look a little dirty and sketchy and sort of not the nicest experience. Our ridership, they get treated really, really well. We on the board see very few complaints come in or concerns. Our drivers have gotten to be friends with those passengers. They know their special quirks or their special needs. Our state-of-the-bus buses have airbags and hydraulics that will lower the bus down and accommodate the wheelchair entrance, or somebody carrying a bicycle, or somebody who needs extra assistance or needs to be picked up at their home. And then also, one thing I don't believe Sherry covered was that the Basin Transit District also provides funds to other nonprofit organizations for transportation. So the bus can't go everywhere, right? And we are in a very rural area where the roads are sort of sketchy, and there's a lot of people who need to get to doctor's appointments, need to get to hospital visits and so forth, or follow-ups. And so we provide some funding so that they can have a van go out and pick up patients or take them to the VA hospital. We also provide passes for our college students to be able to get to campus and to attend classes. So not only do you see that bus on the road, we're also helping transportation needs well and beyond with working with the hospital district. Sherry came on board and did a phenomenal job. How many people in our chambers, how many of you noticed the new buses in town? Do you notice the changes? Okay, a lot of times the buses would be out there and you didn't even notice them, right? And now with the new marketing and the new identity, they're much more visible, much more up to date, And again, we have some of the best drivers and some of the best management in the valley. So great job, Sherry, and thank you for presenting to us today. You're a great general manager.
Go ahead, please.
I just want to say thank you, Sherry. You do an incredible job. And I want to mention all the mandates you have with electric vehicles. You're handling that so well and so professionally. And I was going to mention Copper Mountain College, but Councilmember Abel did. So the stuff you do with Copper Mountain College, getting the students to college, and that's really incredible. So thank you for your presentation. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great presentation, thank you. There were some things I learned there that I don't drive or take the bus very often, but do the hours of the bus, this year you're introducing K through 12, is that what I heard?
Free fares for K.
Free fares, K through 12. Does the bus operate at the times that the school would be operating so that, you know, that the high schoolers start kind of early and the grade school kids start a little bit later, right?
Right. We
So you're-
definitely do for high school and middle school, yes.
Very good, okay. And so hopefully that'll increase some of the ridership, and it'll be a big benefit to a lot of the families that need to get their kids to school but have too many different places to send them, huh?
I hope so.
That's great. All right, thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor, we have an online question.
Yes, please. Can you
Daniel
transfer to them?
Ballou, I've requested you to unmute. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Daniel Ballou. I'm with an organization called Rescue Residents. It's a nonprofit working to help reduce veteran homelessness. And the question was related to the MBTA grant concept you mentioned earlier for nonprofits. The question is basically, is it a potential where the nonprofits could receive not just funds like you talked about, but also decommissioned or retired vehicles to help with transportation for our organization? So us being able to take veterans to the VA or to other medical appointments, having a small bus is one of the things we've been looking into, and getting that directly through MBTA grants might be something we could really benefit from. That was my whole question.
Yes, so in the past, we have awarded 100% to go towards a ADA van, but we have also awarded operating assistance to cover fuel and tires, or even to pay your drivers. All of that's eligible.
And when, do you know offhand, I know when those applications, or they can inquire, they can contact Basin Transit to ask for deadlines on applying?
Yes, so I have a list going, so I'll email those who have contacted me or that I know it would benefit them. And so we send them a personal email with, here's the application with the deadlines, and then we'll post it on our website also. We try to release it every August so that we can get it to our board of directors to review in September of every year.
So yeah, please contact the Basin Transit and inquire about applying for some type of grant or find out what might be available. And then also our unmet needs meeting. That's an annual yearly meeting where we hear feedback from the community on any transportation requests. Is that once a year that we hold that?
It used to be, we used to have to do that to meet TDA requirements. Since we no longer have to, we're doing it in-house and then countywide. So it's not really unmet needs anymore. It's just, this last year, we had community outreach. We posted it everywhere. And then we had a whole morning at our transit center in Yucca Valley, and then a whole afternoon in 29, just getting feedback from anyone who wanted to come out and meet with us and ask questions or talk to us, or also our passengers who use it and want, you know, different hours or.
Okay. And then one other thing, you were mentioning people were sometimes reluctant to ride the bus or have never experienced it. There may be something to think about, sort of like how the national park has a free entrance to the park day or something. Perhaps that's something that ride the bus for free on this weekend or this day, experience the bus, and then also get surveys out to those people on what they would like. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Daniel, for your call in. All right, well, thank you very much, and we'll go ahead and move on now to approval of the agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve tonight's agenda.
All right, we have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Zabel,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Lombardo,
Yes.
and Mayor Dennison.
Yes. So next, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are routine matters. Formal documents covering previous town council instruction items are enacted by one motion and a second without separate discussion unless a member of the town council or town staff requests dialogue on a specific item at the beginning of the meeting. Requests for public comment on the consent agenda should be filed with the town clerk. If there's anyone in the audience tonight that would like to make any comments on the consent agenda, which is items 2 through 11, you can come to the podium, make sure you check in with the clerk. Seeing none in the audience. Anyone online? None on the line. So at this time, if there's no further discussion on that, we'll look for a motion to approve consent.
I'll move we approve consent agenda.
We have a move
And I'll second that.
and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Zabel,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Lombardo,
Yes.
and Mayor Dennison.
And yes. So thank you. Now it gets us into our department reports. We're going to move on to item number 12, which is our fiscal year 23-24 general fund and Measure Y partnership funding allocations.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll be presenting the 23-24 partnership funding allocation from the Measure Y revenue source. Click through here, make sure that's working. Perfect. So the partnership program is funded via Measure Y. The spending plan for that fund is administered first and foremost from the Revenue Measure Oversight Commission. When the budget is prepared, they look at a spending plan and allocate a certain amount that we recommend for this partnership program under the quality of life portion of Measure Y. So for that, we adopted a budget that had a total of $100,000 allocated to the 23-24 partnership program. Partnership applications were brought into the town and submitted to town staff earlier in the year. All of those applications are reviewed by town staff with a certain scoring criteria that was developed with policy guidelines when the partnership program was first developed, and again recommended by the Revenue Oversight Commission. That scoring criteria is listed in the agenda packet and also here on the screen. But there's 6 main criteria that all receive a score for each application, specifically local services that are administered within the town of Yucca Valley for public purposes. It's looked at per capita resident reach of each program, if each program provides unique services that aren't duplicated by other applicants, the impact of funding that Measure Y would bring to each organization, the stability and history of that organization with the town, and then lastly, if they have received prior funding from Measure Y and how they submitted in a timely manner for any prior grant reports required from Measure Y. So that's a little hard to see, so let me know if you need me to point anything out, but that is the full list of applicants. Total funding requested was $233,900, which is the highest we've received so far for this program. It has definitely gained popularity over the years. We scored each application, as you can see there, and the top scoring applicants were recommended for funding to where the full utilization of that $100,000 budget application or budget adoption was applied for this year. And I can go back to this slide if council has questions at the end of the presentation. So the recommended partners are listed here, Boys and Girls Club of the High Desert, Morongo Basin Arch, Morongo Basin Tennis Association, Spark Growth, Ingleside Lodge, and Milltree Veteran Project. The remaining applications were also scored, but again, we utilized a full funding amount that was for that approved budget. If there were any additional applications recommended for approval, we would need council action for increasing that budget amount within Measure Y. And then moving forward, after this funding cycle, the recommended or approved applicants that receive funding tonight, they will begin the award agreement process with town staff, and then they'll be able to receive that funding and administer their programs for the next fiscal year. And then we will reopen the application process a little bit earlier next year, so we're looking at February, that should say February 2024, because we're going into next year. That's next year. And then town staff is hoping to develop a partnership workshop. What we've noticed is as we're getting more applicants and then also newer organizations in the area, it would be beneficial for town staff to help develop those applications earlier so that we have time to talk with those nonprofits and help them, especially as some are smaller and don't have grant writers on staff to help them. So we'll be looking to do that probably in March or April of next year. So with that, I'll read the recommendation, and then we've asked all of the applicants to be available either in person or online for questions. We've told them they don't have to speak, but I think a few want to come up during public comment and just introduce themselves to council, and then you're welcome to call on them if you have any questions regarding their application. I also printed new copies of their applications on your desk there if you wanted to take a look at those. So the recommendation for council is to approve the allocation of the town's fiscal year 23, see, my dates are all wrong today. It should say fiscal year 23-24 measure-wide partnership budget of $96,900 in accordance with the individual scoring results as presented in the agenda. With that, I'll conclude my presentation and open it up for public comment.
All right, thank you very much, Jordan, for the update on our Measure Y funding. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item?
There is one.
Okay, and also, Leslie, did you have a list also of folks that have already?
No, I have Ronald Fortna is the only one that I have here, but I didn't request
Okay.
comment cards from all of them. I thought we would just take turns as we
So we'll
needed.
go ahead and start with Ronald, thank you, sir. And then I saw another hand raised up in the back. So as you approach after this, then just leave your contact information or let Leslie know. All right, thank you, Ronald.
Press the button. Press the button down
in the
there.
middle.
Green
Just leave it on.
Good evening, Mayor Dennison, Town Council, Town Staff. I am Ronald Fortin with Morongo Basin Tennis Association. Thank you for the partnership funding program opportunity. The Morongo Basin Tennis Association will be entering its 4th year of our continuing tennis instruction program for the youth of the community. The program includes free tennis lessons with an annual family membership in the Tennis Association. The program continues to be quite successful. We had originally planned a 10-week program that has become year-round, continuing through 3 Yucca Valley winters and 2 summers. We have instructed about 50 children from 30 different families. The number of active participants ranges from 16 to 30. We are currently averaging 6 to 12 participants per instructional session. Approximately 20% of the children have participated in our program for over 2 years, and about 30% more than 1 year. The team competition that we added to our program has provided incentive to our participants to better understand the use of the tennis skills they are learning and to motivate them to improve those skills. During fiscal year 22-23, team members competed against players from Yucca, Palm Desert, Cathedral City, and Riverside. Some of our participants have also played in the National Junior Tennis and Learning Tournaments held at the Palm Desert Resort. Our youth are learning and getting opportunities to participate in fun competition. Early in 2023, we added our Foundations program to meet interest in lessons for younger and new beginning children. Foundation participants will learn fundamental tennis skills and then may move on to advanced lesson and team practice sessions. Initially, our program was being offered to roughly 8 to 15-year-old children. We've been able to go down to 5-year-old children to get them started at younger ages. That was requested from a number of parents. The popularity of our program has remained with the enthusiasm of our participants, helping bring new participants to replace those who have left. Most of the youth are not only tennis opponents on the court, but have become friends off the court. The Town of Yucca Valley Partnership Funding Program is enabling the Tennis Association to continue this worthwhile tennis instruction activity. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to make a comment. I appreciate what you do for our community and for the youth of our community, and a great activity out there. It's been in our community for quite some time. Excuse me. Any comments from the council?
I'll wait till you.
Okay. So thank you very much. And then I think over here, I saw her stand up first, and then Astor will go next, okay?
First of all, I would like to thank the town council and the mayor for having us. I truly appreciate the opportunity to be here. I am also really honored to be among such amazing community members doing such wonderful work here in Yucca Valley. My name is Melanie, and I am one of the co-founders and director of Spark Growth. In 1981, my family relocated to Yucca Valley from San Bernardino. This was a bit of a culture shock for me. Going from a big city to a small town, I felt trepidatious about the change, and I wondered, where would I fit in here? One of the first things my mother did was to take us to the local library. There was a bookmarker contest taking place. I recall drawing a small child stating, "I love to read," for my submission. I was later surprised to learn that I had created the winning bookmark. Little did I know, that moment anchored a connection to this town. I felt like a part of something, part of a community. As the years went on and I built a life in Yucca Valley, I awaited the opportunity to reciprocate the appreciation I have for this community. Through our nonprofit, Spark Growth, with our amazing staff of volunteers, we have been able to provide free literacy and art to children and families in our community. We love reading to children and doing art projects that follow along with the theme of the book. What a reward it has been to connect with our community through giving back. Last year, we gave away over 1,200 books and delivered enrichment to over 1,700 students and families in the Morongo Basin. Previously, we were able to provide free books and art supplies to 205 children in the community through the 2021-2022 Measure Y funding. Going forward, Spark Growth hopes to double the participation in the giveaway. We strive to support children's learning by sparking growth through our literacy enrichment program, providing a service that grows lifelong learners, future community members, or leaders. At this time, I would like to yield to the council for any questions or comments. Thank you again for the opportunity to provide free books and art supplies to children in Yucca Valley through the Measure Y funding.
Well, thank you, Melanie. Anyone from the public like to speak on this item? I just want to say it's amazing how you remember that moment in time, that one bookmark, and what has blossomed out of that, of passing on the joy of reading and being creative, you know, getting the stories, your own vision of the story in your head. So very nice. I appreciate it. I appreciate your engagement, too.
You're welcome.
Hey, Mayor, if I can just jump in,
Yes.
that's okay? This is yours?
Yes.
This is amazing. I've never seen this before. This is amazing. And for any of our other nonprofit partners that are Measure Y participants, this is terrific example of kind of what we're looking for, that highlights what the program does, identifies Measure Y funding in the program, and makes people aware of where that funding comes from. So thank you very much.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that.
All of the members received one of those, so enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Woo.
Yes.
Thank you very much for supporting Morongo Basin Arch. I'm Astor Johnson. I'm the president of Arch, but I persuaded Tamara Towles Simpson to come as well. The reason I wanted her to come is she's a resident here of Yucca Valley. And the funds that you are giving us is going to be used for Yucca Valley. We service the whole Morongo Basin, all the way from Wonder Valley to Morongo Valley, Wonder Valley to Morongo Valley. And This money is going to be specifically used for some of the major programs we have here in Yucca Valley. One of them is that we have an emergency shelter that Tamara is in charge of. She is our caseworker, our case manager, and she will also be doing street outreach, which is the second component of this, is to expand our street outreach in Yucca Valley. Street outreach means that we make direct contact, we find out the needs of the homeless resident, and do they need food, do they need bus passes, do they need some kind of support for housing support, what can we offer them at that point? So, and then we also, of course, have this emergency shelter. We're paying rent for it. We don't own it. So we rent it each month, and as well as cover the utility bills. So this $20,000 is going to go towards that. It's going to go towards the cost of the emergency shelter, the utility cost, services we provide to the clients that are there in the shelter as well, and the street outreach that we are going to be doing. So I really appreciate your ongoing support. I know we've received funds in the past, and it's extremely valuable. Even though we do get other funding, we soon find out that that funding still is not adequate for the amount of demand that we have. So we are always expanding our horizons of where we can get more money to provide more services through the area. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from the public?
Anybody?
The council?
You want to also ask Tamara as well?
Do you have numbers? Do you have numbers on how many people you served last year?
Oh, my gosh. I do. I should have brought them with me, but we service, we did emergency housing vouchers for the whole county. We were well over 100. I got about 150 clients that we served. That program ended. I'm going to say, I know we're doing street outreach here in Yucca, and I know they've identified quite a bit. I think it was like 75, right? And then 110. We went out and did street outreach. Tamara and I went out, other people went out to actually find those people. They knew where they were, and we were starting to reach out. Often we have an office in Joshua Tree. We often get calls throughout the basin, including Yucca Valley and the Landers area, for services. So the services usually are, they're in a bad situation with their housing and they need help. So we right away, if they have a family, we immediately get Wayne Hamilton involved with the school district. He has a lot of services that he can offer. We start looking at the amount of income they have, their whole situation. Do they have a good credit score? Can we help them get into housing? Can we find housing for them? As you know, the problem that we have with the short-term rentals out here makes it difficult to find housing, but we still can find housing. It's a chore, but we can do it. So our goal is to try to get people housed, get into permanent housing, to get people off the street, and while they're doing that, we put them in emergency shelters or a transitional home.
Very good.
Does that sort of answer your question?
Are you seeing an increase in need for services?
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely.
Very good.
The problem is that it's difficult to find the housing, and there's people that, unfortunately, we've got a couple of cases where people were housed by another nonprofit, and then the whole thing kind of fell apart because it wasn't put together right. So now they are stranded out here in the Morongo Basin. So we have to look at the case and say, what can we do to make sure they get stabilized into housing? So we're looking at a lot of different avenues to do that.
Well, we really appreciate what you're doing for our community. And,
Thank you. It's
keep up the work.
We have a very good dedicated staff, and I'm really happy that Tamara is with us because she has a long history of working in the area in this capacity. She worked for a previous nonprofit. She was involved with Unity Home. She has a lot of history, and she knows the community very well. Thank you.
Are you finding that all the other organizations work together well in our community?
You know, Mr. Lombardo, right? We do, and I'm very, very proud. Deborah knows how I feel about this. Very proud of our East Valley Regional Steering Committee. It kind of grew out of Haven, out of requirements from the county. And I really think we're quite unique in that we are very strong. I have a strong connection with the TAD office, with probation, with Adult Protective Services, with a lot of the different agencies both TAD offices, Yucca and 29. We get together and we talk. We talk about, well, what are you doing with this case? Do you need help? They're calling me. The Crisis Walk-in Center calls me. The Sally at probation calls me. Can you house this person? Do they wind up getting eventually maybe over to the emergency shelter we have here? So they're coming from all over. So
I've always found our community a unique environment where those that want to get involved can be involved.
Very
And
much so.
A lot of people have come from big cities and, really didn't feel like they were part of anything important. And then you come to a small community and every skill is needed here and is appreciated. And it's so nice to see everybody working together for the better of our
definitely
community.
have a strong network.
We do.
And I think the feeling out here compared to, because I'm also on the ICH board, is that, along with Jim, I know, is that we're sort of insular in a way because we're so far removed from like the big metropolitan areas like San Bernardino or the West Valley or the Central Valley or even the desert region area, right? So we're kind of similar to the struggles that Big Bear has, for example. But I think it makes us quite resilient, and that we can problem solve for ourselves and figure things out. We're so far away from San Bernardino that we can't run over there for help very much. So we have to solve our problems right here, and we do that through networking.
I've always liked that attitude.
Absolutely right. People really do care. They want to do something. I think the problem for some people is they don't know where to begin. And so something like East Valley Regional Steering Committee that we have is a place to start, because there's a lot of people coming together, looking at the problems and trying to together we kind of brainstorm it out. Like, what can we do to solve this? So we have a really strong community here for this.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you very much. And thank you, Tamara, for joining in and helping our community.
Thank you very much for your support.
We appreciate it. You're welcome. Anyone else from the public like to speak? Yes, come on up, please.
Hi, my name is Deanne Lubell. I'm the founder of Amy's Purpose. This came about in 2019 when I led our two dogs out our backyard and came back in for a cup of tea. I wasn't gone for more than a minute or two, came back out and found 3 coyotes killing little Amy. We were so distressed over the happening, we decided to found an organization to make pet owners more aware of the dangers of predators, stray dogs, and even people. So our initial and continued mission is to educate and make homeowners aware, our pet owners aware. I'd just like to read this to you. About a year after Amy's death, our American Bulldog Sugar injured her back leg and was extreme pain. I contacted my local veterinarian clinic, and the vet who's here today, who is on our advisory council, was just so overwhelmed she couldn't take me in. I proceeded to call the VCA, both in the high desert and the low desert. I called dozens of vets and vet clinics in the low desert. No one could take me. They were too busy on overload. So we ended up at the Beaumont Hospital, where she received pretty good care. I'm a PR and marketing consultant. So as a journalist as well, my curiosity, I went on social media and asked if anybody else had run across this problem in an emergency with their pet. I was flooded with hundreds of responses, and even those, and I'm sorry, my board member Lisa Carr could not be here today, and she owns car insurance up here in Yucca Valley. she had an emergency with her little dog. By the time she could find a place that would take her little dog, an hour away, it died in the car. This is happening constantly. So I was determined to get to the bottom of the mystery of why these animal clinics cannot provide enough care, emergency care for our pets. And I went to Dr. Colburn, and she was an encyclopedia of information. There are three major reasons contributing to the crisis. One, too few veterinarian medical vet schools exist in the United States. They're expensive, and they're as challenging as human medical schools. For every veterinarian in this country, there are 18.5 positions available. Vets can pick and choose and go just about everywhere they would want to practice. Second, people were obtaining more pets than usual during the pandemic. And it goes on and on and on. So Amy's purpose said, how can we help? How can we help those in the high desert? How can we help those in the low desert? Where do you start? We found out there is a program. It's the only program in the either desert, the high or low desert, is at the College of the Desert, and it's the PACE program. And they offer a course in veterinarian assistance. So we got on board. Long story short, we partnered with the COD PACE people. We had a fundraiser. We raised enough monies from that restricted funds for 18 scholarships, 5 of which were provided by the COD matching scholarships. So we graduated in February, our first 6 scholarships winners. We have 6 in the current program, and we have 6 lined up for the fall program. And we want this to continue. We are very diversified. We want to have students from the high and low desert. We like a balance, and most of these students come from low-income families. So we're asking for your help to provide a couple of scholarships and help with our other programs as well. We're new. We started out in the pandemic, and boy, we have come a long ways, baby. And to be providing these scholarships to 18 individuals. And we do get applicants from the high desert. The College of the Desert does have an application process that's not easy. So that's what we're all about, and we're looking to continue our mission in both pet safety and in the scholarship program.
Well, thank you, Deanna, for that story, and it leads more to the naming and the tragedy that you suffered, with Amy. So it's something that occurs in our area and in many areas, if not all areas. So I appreciate the program. It sounds like a wonderful thing, and it is something that we need in here. I've had the same experience having limited resources when, one of our pets was in need. So I appreciate your efforts and your work.
And I'm sure Dr. Colburn won't mind me saying that because of the shortage in her quest to find help, she did have to close down on Fridays. So that meant her clinic was closed Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think she now is able to have half Fridays, like twice a month, something like that. But it is a crisis, and pets are dying. And I have to say that because of Amy's purpose and the awareness, we have saved the lives of many pets.
I'm sure you have. Is there anyone in the public that has any questions? Online, anyone?
No, but we do have an online public comment, not about what she was talking
Okay,
about. but
as we
another
get to
one.
the end of the, okay, request. Thank you
I have a
very much.
comment.
Anyone else?
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
I'm a firm believer in education, and I think that you're approaching this problem in the right way by educating people that can increase the workforce that will be able to take care of these animals. And I encourage you to apply again in the next year and seek any help to write the proposals so that it can meet the requirements of our town's granting of these funds. I think you're a worthy cause.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the audience like to speak this evening? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Montel, and I'm the founder and executive director of Milltree Veteran Project. And I didn't know, I just want to thank you because I didn't prepare anything tonight, but our mission is to create community between veterans, active service members, and civilians through shared experiences, projects, and creative expression to help end veteran isolation. We want to assist in that. And I met Mayor Dennison the other day at a stakeholders meeting that we had, and I explained what we've done. And if you have any questions, I'm very, very appreciative of you funding Milltree, the grant for a community garden and an online art project. So thank you so much. And if you have any questions,
You're welcome. Is there anyone in the audience that has any questions about Milltree? Seeing none, anyone here? Yeah.
I'm a big gardener, and I really believe in the therapeutic value of a community garden. I think is an awesome idea, and I'm very much in support of it.
thank you. We're very excited, and it will include children as well because we're going to do wicking beds, which I had I'm not a gardener. My husband's a gardener, but I found out there we're going to use big trash cans to create individual gardens, and the kids can come in and maybe we can.
That's a really great
partner
idea.
with
Keep
Spark
the-
Growth.
Keep
Have
the
them
rodents
paint
from
the
being
cans.
able to climb in and eat all the vegetables.
Right.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Are you going to be growing fruit trees or other things that can be
We're
used to
gonna-
share with the community?
Well, we have to see how this actually goes.
A little bit at a
But we're going to, we're going to start in October, which is lettuce time.
yeah.
So we have a master gardener, Janet Tucker is on our committee along with other people, and Crystal Winsong, who Jeff probably knows. So we have a committee, and we will we will do this properly, the right season for the right fruits and vegetables. So no orchards at this moment.
Where are you going to place your community garden?
We're going to place it at the Joshua Tree Retreat Center for now.
At the retreat center.
Because Milltree built a potting shed there 3 years ago, and I was determined that potting shed was, what Milltree does is we create activities, art projects, builds, things like that, so that we can bring veterans in and have them see what the similarities of the greater community at large, create friendships and bonds and things like that. So basically, somewhere during COVID, we built this potting shed, and it's sitting there, and I was determined to create a garden next to the potting shed. But the great thing about the wicking beds is if this works, we can satellite this anywhere. So
great.
I'm very excited, and I'm very appreciative. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, Cheryl. Thank you very much for commenting. Is there anyone else? Oh, here we are.
Hi, I'm Michaela Rhodes, and I am the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club of the High Desert. And I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity that you've given us with the Measure Y. At the Boys and Girls Club, just in 2022, not only did we serve 507 kids with our before and after school programming, but we did it with our summer programming and our vacation camps as well for Thanksgiving break and Christmas break. In 2023, we've already served 250 kids alone. Part of our mission is to serve kids who need us most. And by doing that, we have 33% of our parents who are single parents full-time working, and 16% of our kids who are in foster care or are foster youth. All of our programs are high yield. They foster independence within youth, and they promote success with education, as well as health and wellness, workforce readiness, and that's what we're all about at the Boys and Girls Club. We like to hire people who want to invest in our youth, not only in Yucca Valley, but across the Morongo Basin. So we do that by partnering with several different organizations and businesses, such as the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the Pack the Bus with the Morongo Basin Transit Authority that helps us serve not only the kids in our building, but helps us serve everybody in the community as well. And this grant alone gives us the opportunity so that we can give scholarships for our low-income families, which is 98% of our clientele. So we just appreciate the support that you give us at the Boys and Girls Club. And we're here for 40 years this year, and thankfully we'll be here for 40 more to make a difference.
Wow. Awesome.
Wonderful. Are there any questions from the public today for Boys and Girls Club? Anyone here at the council?
Sure. Boys and Girls Club has been a big part of our community for 40 years, you say? I've been here for those 40, and I was going to say as long as I can remember, and I think I've been here 38 years or something like that. And it was always, it's amazing what you have transformed the kids into as they matured. They've become leaders in so many different areas, and they've come back to the Yucca Valley after education and all sorts of different things. They've been a part of our community for a long time and part of our society in a beneficial way. So you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Boys and Girls Club is definitely a place for kids, and you know, they said that for years, but it's something that every year, not only the kids, but their parents and their guardians can depend on for a safe place, a learning place, where they can go during the summer months. And I think it's very valuable for our town, and I really appreciate it. I did see some of the artwork you've had done inside, so it looks like things are not only blossoming outside the building, in the community, but also inside the building itself, so
Absolutely.
good work.
That's a really excited project. Bo Spencer, he's an amazing artist who is donating his time to help beautificate our inside and hopefully get some outside done too.
Yeah, kids like that cool stuff, huh?
Yeah,
Makes
and to
them feel good.
participate.
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you speaking.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak this evening?
I have to be totally honest and tell you I don't want to speak, but since everybody is speaking, I have to speak.
Well, I'm excited to hear from you.
I do want to tell you all, thank you very much for the funding. It does wonderful things for the whole community, not just for the nonprofit I'm involved with. My name is Nancy, and I am the administrator at Ingleside Lodge, which is a residential care facility for the elderly, and we are in our 24th year. And, you know, when you talk about the funding and how many people it will reach, we're very small. We have 8 residents right now, but I have to tell you those residents are, we have one right now that's been was a postman up here for 42 years. We had, years ago, the original owner of the Trail Burger. So those of you that have been here for many years will remember the Trail Burger. So Frida was with us for a number of years. We have had local priests, nurses, bankers, photographers, just people that have been here from this community that now we are serving. They don't leave the facility very often, once in a while, but most of them are there once they walk in with their family or whoever's bringing them in, they're there to stay. So what they see and what they do is their life inside this facility. So I just wanted to say I really appreciate you making their life better by your funding. A couple of years ago, we were able to put in commercial refrigerator and freezers, and that's been an excellent benefit. They just They love food. I mean, what do they have? They don't have a lot. So now we're going to put some good carpet under their feet, and they're going to be very excited. So we're nothing like a regular facility. I don't know if any of you have been to Ingleside to visit, but I encourage you all to come, and I'll give you a tour. It's different than most facilities out there, and I think it's probably because it's nonprofit. But it's very homey. It doesn't smell like, some of the elderly facilities do. Truly, it doesn't. It just, we've got a good staff and a good bunch of residents that we truly are there to enrich their life and make it a better place for them to live out their lives. So, any questions?
Well, thank you. Any questions from the public? Well, from myself, Nancy,
Yes.
I'll say that you went ahead and said it, but I understand completely. I've been inside the Ingle Lodge many times. And,
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
So I worked for many years, and I got to know a lot of the residents, and then you took me down a trip on Trailburger and Frida. I remember, I go that far back,
Yep,
so I
yep.
remember.
A lot of you do,
And,
yes.
yeah, it is a very nice facility, and while we focus a lot on many different things within our community, we're at the other end of the spectrum with our seniors.
Absolutely.
We're
Totally
talking
different.
about kids, we're talking
Yeah.
about those trying to get through today, we're talking about those that are trying to move forward into more opportunities for them and their families and stuff. But when we have to step up and help those that are our seniors, our leaders of the past in our community, you guys do a swell job there, and thank you very much for it. It's not an easy job.
Thank you. And thank you for your funding. We really appreciate it. I
Yes, thank you
speak
for
on all of
speaking.
their
Anyone
behalfs.
else?
Any other
Good.
questions?
I like what
All
she's
right.
doing.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak? Seeing none, so at this time.
We have an online comment.
Oh, we do? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Daniel Ballou, I'm requesting you to unmute. Oh, just a moment.
Hello, Daniel. We can see you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
We can. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I would like to start by thanking the mayor and the town council, and then the town staff who were there, and everybody who's attending in person tonight. I apologize that
Well, we lost you.
I think we lost you, Daniel.
Are you there?
I see you talking, but no sound.
Yeah, my headphones did something weird, so I think I should be back now.
You're back now. Yes.
Good.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Apologize.
That's okay.
Technical difficulties. Doing this remotely sometimes is a little bit difficult. So I want to try to respect everybody's time, and I'm going to do this very briefly. I want to start by congratulating Morongo Basin Arch, who I've been working with for about a year, trying to get a handle on getting my organization plugged in with providing homelessness support in the area. So I want to say congratulations on getting your funding, and then congratulations also to Miltree for being selected for funding, because I actually just connected with them recently. We see a lot of opportunity going forward between Miltree and Rescue Residents to be able to provide opportunities for veterans who are going through our programs and through theirs to be able to work together to kind of go forward in their lives. So specifically to Rescue Residents, it is a new nonprofit that I just established not too long ago. I am an active duty United States Marine stationed in 29 Palms. I've lived in Yucca Valley for 3 years now, and it's looking like for me and the family, this is home. This is where we're staying. We're not going anywhere. I decided that in 2021, I needed to stop talking about the problem that the veteran community is having with homelessness and start doing something about it. So I started developing this organization and this program to basically identify veterans that are currently experiencing homelessness, living on the streets, and who would be willing to see a complete change in their location and their environment in their life and really put that effort into moving forward. And so what we're going to do is go through 3 phases, basically, where they come into the program, live on site with our team in very small spaces. It's kind of like tiny village, but the concept is that during phase 1, they need to focus on themselves, get themselves back and going, make sure that they're ready to kind of reintegrate into the community. Phase 2 is focused on job skills training, identify a marketable skill that they're able to do anywhere in the country and that all communities need, carpentry, electrician, plumbing, or something that they have always thought that they'd want to do, and that we can partner them with the local organization to get them the training and stuff that they need. So then as they complete kind of this phase 1, phase 2 stuff, they've been living in those small spaces, and will then enter into phase 3, where with our team, they then design and build a custom ambulance to their own personal specifications, where the inside of the back of that ambulance is their future home, right? So they've been living in them. They know what they like and what they don't like. They will then design with the team and build it with their own hands, an ambulance that they can then take that new skill and that home into a new space and a new job and a new life and a new location, really set themselves up for success on this big transition in their life, because the number one factor to actually make a significant change in your life is a change in environment. And in many programs, a lot of times we aren't facilitating that change as an inherent part of the project. So this is a key part of what we're trying to do, is build a system and have the whole program work to actually provide them with a change in environment as a central part of the goal. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everybody tonight and kind of introduce our organization. We're not going anywhere. We're going to stay in the community. So I'll be happy to apply again next year. But big things are happening. We are moving a lot of stuff forward. So I'm hoping to hear more from all of you lately, and I'm sure you'll be hearing more from me. So thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight and your comments too.
And Daniel, did you catch the comment earlier about a March or April workshop? Did you hear the staff talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I did. Also, I'll make sure to participate in that, yeah.
Very good.
Okay, I think that's all for comments. We'll come back to council now.
Yeah, I'd like to find out, thank you, by the way, Daniel, for speaking. Is there anyone else that's here from any of the nonprofits that haven't spoken? High Desert Pregnancy Center, are you here? Yeah, would you come up and speak a little bit about your program for me as well? Is anyone here from Morongo Basin Competitive Dance? Okay, I'd like to hear a little bit about your program. Morongo Basin Fire Safe Council, are you here tonight? Okay, not seeing you. Morongo Basin Cultural Arts Council, are you here? All right. If I could hear from those two applicants rather quickly before we go on, I'd appreciate it. Just introducing yourself, exactly what or in general what you do, and how long you've been in the area.
Hello, my name is Brandy. I'm with the High Desert Pregnancy Clinic. High Desert Pregnancy Clinic has been in our community for over 40 years. Our basis is we want to help those young women who have found out they're pregnant and they're not quite sure what to do. So we offer from pregnancy through parenting skills classes. From the moment they meet with the nurse, they get their vitals taken and they get an opportunity to meet weekly with them, as well as we offer skills classes for them preparing through their pregnancy, how to understand, how to set up their delivery plan, how to know what's going on in the delivery room, as well as parenting skills classes through the age of 3. Our goal is to walk with them, with their child through the age of 3, and then helping them prepare, hopefully through Head Start program, which is another opportunity which helps them prepare through kindergarten. So that's the basis of our parenting skills classes. This year, right now, we have seen over 79 different families. We've done 30 pregnancy tests, 6 ultrasounds, and we have taught over 300 classes. And right now, we have 3 couples who are under the age of 18 who came to us through the Black Rock High School program, who have found out they were pregnant. They've been sent to us, and we've had the opportunity to explain to them that they have options and that we are here to walk through their entire pregnancy with them and then help them prepare to be parents. So that's the basis of our program.
All right, thank you.
I want to thank you for the opportunity to apply for this. And then I hope next year I will be able to go through this again. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Who else did you have?
Morongo Basin, competitive team. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Shannon Lamoureux, and I'm representing Morongo Basin competitive dance teams. This nonprofit was formed during COVID and kind of remained dormant until this past year. This nonprofit is to raise funds for Starstruck Dance Studio that has been kind of a staple studio in the community for the last 18 years. We train about 500 dancers a year through the studio. So if you do the math, that's a lot of kids. And we've really been able to take kids to the highest level. And so through our competition program, we train about 50 kids a year. And it's just grown so much. And we've won so many awards at the highest level. And so it's time to really help these kids pursue their dreams. And so we're taking a bunch of kids to New York City this summer. I've seen so many awesome things for them. And it's really hard because, of course, the performing arts are a very underfunded thing here across the United States. But they're so important for our children, and we're very passionate about the arts through our studio and really giving those kids whatever we can to help them dream. You know, they can be creative, they learn teamwork, dedication, hard work, perseverance. I mean, I could go on and on, all the benefits of the arts. So we hope maybe next year we can apply again. And just in case you weren't sure, it is impacting the youth in our community tremendously. And so just thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be sure to take advantage of those workshops that will be offered on how to write for the grants and things.
So thank you, Councilmember Abel, for those. Anyone else in the council?
Yeah, I want to make a couple of comments if I have a moment. I didn't comment on each individual applicant because I want to just do it all at one time, help save some time. But, you know, the pastor got up here and led us in a time of prayer, which means a lot to me because I'm a man of faith and I believe in prayer. But what I see out there is the hands and the feet. You know, we can pray about things, but you guys are the ones who are making things happen. You take those prayers and you put them into action. And so your volunteers, your nonprofit, the people that aren't here tonight but you're representing, the kids that want to go and do things and be part of something better, you see a lot of heartache, you see a lot of homelessness, you see a lot of people at maybe at the lowest point of their life, and you're able to give them some hope. And so you are the hands and the feet of our community. And for us to be able to, because of Measure Y funding, give some of that monies back to the people who actually use the money wisely, like we hope to do, but you can use the money wisely on the ground floor, right there where the needs are at. We cannot meet every person's needs. As you saw, the applications, over $233,900 of people asking for funding. And unfortunately, we can't always, like you get solicitations and people calling up with really great programs and nonprofits, you can't give to everybody who ever calls you or ever asks for a donation, but you have to be led with your heart and what you need to do and how you can make a difference. Although it might be small, it's what you can do at this point. So I'd like to ask, and my other philosophy is if you're a nonprofit, you're always advocating for your programs, but if you're not here in person, sharing what this money really does and how it really is a good use of public funds. These are not our dollars, these are your dollars. And if we're going to reinvest it, we want to make sure it's being reinvested in a worthwhile cause. I will never, I don't want to say never, but I will reluctantly ever give funding for somebody who doesn't come and present. And so you were here tonight, whether you're the Boys and Girls Club, and my gosh, we know what the Boys and Girls Club does, but you see that their representative still shows up and still advocates for their kids and their staff. So I applaud you all for being here. And Daniel, thank you for joining us online and being here. What I'd like to ask the council, since there's such a great need, I was proposing perhaps that we would increase some of the funding by about $35,000. That's just the number I threw out. And I'll be open to any other suggestions. Not only funding what our committee did and oversight committee did in approving those programs, but also granting funding to the High Desert Pregnancy Clinic for helping those that are dealing with the pregnancy issues and giving them support and education all the way to age 3, which I didn't realize. I would also like to grant the $10,000 funding for Amy's Purpose. We talk about veterinarian services, and what really got me as you were presenting that is there are people who don't want to work. And we're providing maybe an opportunity at a scholarship for somebody who wants to go into the veterinarian field and inspire that person, like you said, where a lot of them maybe come from low-income households, but they have a love for animals or they want to get into the medical field and maybe they don't have the assurance to become a veterinarian yet, but you can give them a scholarship to go to COD to be able to become a veterinarian assistant. And maybe we get enough of those people through the program that our veterinarians could be open on a Friday or an additional day because staffing will be met. And then giving people employment so they're not having to find services from some of these other nonprofits. And then with the Morongo Basin competitive dance team, I would want to perhaps, if it would help, to provide $10,000 scholarships. It won't meet all the needs, but you can take those families that the kids really should not be shut out from being able to compete because of finances, because their mom and dad don't have a job right now, or they don't have the income that somebody else has. And it can get very expensive, dance and so forth, but it really does change kids, and it does have an impact. I've seen sports programs at the high school turn around kids, and now they're, chief of police down in communities, and they're gone on to college, and they've done these things because they got a really great experience with a coach that pushed them and accepted them and worked with them. I would just caveat that for the dance program, again, it would be for local kids. I would say for the scholarship programs, a student that's from the high desert, Morongo Basin, they can live in 29 or Morongo Valley or Landers or wherever, but we know that a lot of times they'll get employment close to home, so that we'll benefit from that. So I would ask that the council consider an additional $35,000 because of the request tonight, and their scoring was right there with the other ones, and perhaps, again, they might have scored higher had they had the workshop. Be able to help work with them, but that was my proposal, to grant all funding an additional $35,000.
I'll second that.
I have a couple questions. I like the idea of possibly awarding more funding, but I'm not sure about the numbers. But my question is, I noticed, I think the three that were here, I commend you. You saw you weren't on the list for getting any funding, and you still showed up, so that's really commendable. But I think all three of you are not a nonprofit organization. So I want to ask staff, what does that fall into it? How does that fall into it?
So understanding the program correctly, it doesn't necessarily need to be a nonprofit organization. We do require that if you are a nonprofit that you provide 501c3 papers. Otherwise, you need to provide a recent tax return. But that should be my understanding, unless, Curtis, you have different direction.
And Councilmember, which applicants are you referring to? And I think we would just ask them to come up and clarify their status.
High Desert Pregnancy Clinic, Amy's Purpose, and Morongo Basin Competitive Dance.
Yeah, I believe all of them are nonprofits, but I'd like them to come up and make that. So if we can have Amy's Purpose come up and just clarify your status.
Thank you. Yes, we've been a nonprofit since, and we're locally based, by the way.
Terrific.
Yucca Valley.
Terrific, thank you. That's terrific.
Got it?
High Desert Pregnancy Center, are you also a nonprofit? Yes. Okay, and the competitive dance team, in your presentation, you indicated you are also a nonprofit. Councilmember Droz, are there other questions that you have for them?
No, I just want to say I didn't see that marked on the box, so I believe that.
We do have backup of all of their tax documents and financial reports and budget. So in addition to the applications, we get a whole slew of documentation, so I can go back and provide those if you need.
Okay, the only thing I would add, being the Yucca Valley Town Council, is that every recipient reside in Yucca Valley. I don't think it should be the whole high desert. They can go to school anywhere, but I think they should reside in Yucca Valley. And that's it. That's my opinion. But I'm really impressed, like how many people showed up that weren't on the list to get any funding. And we have after-school programs, emergency housing, tennis, which is sports, literacy, senior housing, veterans. It's quite the range. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very special group of people here tonight, so thank you for being here. I even heard one of the comments from Milltree already talking about interest in spark growth, trying to find ways to bring people together some of those activities that are a benefit to the community. High Desert Pregnancy Clinic has been in our community for a long time and does some great work with some young folks and older, but people that are needing some kind of guidance, and they have the history to do that and the resources to do it. That's always been good. Amy's Purpose for myself was a very unique story, but out of that story came a mission, and it's very clear what can be accomplished for people that are interested in moving forward in a different direction for maybe a career or something. Morongo Basin competitive dance teams. I've been very well aware of the service they provide. My kids went there when they were very young to the dance studio, and I see them year after year in the parade, and that's a bundle of energy with those kids going up and down the highway. And then the walls in there are still filled with, there's not enough space in there for all of the accolades that they've earned from very, very hard work. So I'm in favor of also the proposal brought forward to the council, and I believe we already had a second from Mayor Pro Tem. And I think we're all in agreement. I would say that I do look back at a comment that was just made by Councilmember Droz. I kind of always say that these kind of larger kind of social issues that we talk about really kind of spread beyond the walls of Yucca Valley. We kind of went down this earlier in another situation where we talked about where a student went to school. And so I think that I would be very open to, if they have to be a resident of the Morongo Basin, certainly for any program application acceptance in my mind, but Yucca Valley would be preferred. I love Yucca Valley. That's just my thing, but I think I wouldn't want someone that lives right on the fringe to not be qualified, especially when it comes to services that can affect anybody in our Morongo Basin.
I believe,
So
I'm sorry. I believe training and education is always money well spent. I too am kind of in favor of it being Yucca Valley or our surrounding area. This money was specially made available through Measure Y, which was a local voted tax on this city, so or this town, I'm sorry. And so we have some of an obligation to make sure that the monies are spent locally. But I'm always one that likes to use discretion, and if it's well-placed and benefiting those that are deserving, I'm perfectly acceptable if it's a larger area. But I do second the idea of...
All right, so my motion was to go ahead and approve the funding as proposed, an additional $35,000, again for $15,000 for the High Desert Pregnancy Center, $10,000 for Amy's Purpose, $10,000 for Morongo Basin Competitive Dance Team. The caveat was that the Amy's Purpose and the High Desert, or the Morongo Basin Competitive Dance Team and so forth, that those funds would be used for somebody who lives in the Morongo Basin and services for the Morongo Basin, preferably Yucca Valley, but also available for somebody outside the town limits.
I'll second that.
We have the motion in a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Abel,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Lombardo,
Absolutely.
and Mayor Dennison.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, everyone, for
Awesome
joining
job,
us this
everybody.
evening. And there was one last thing I think staff could talk a little bit more as we leave for clarification on future dates for Measure Y funding and also some opportunities for some of the guidance for those applications. That was mentioned by Jordan.
Yeah, we will do a press release for both the application when it opens and then also the workshop dates, so we'll be sure to send that out. And we keep an email list of our prior applicants, so those who weren't awarded funding in this round, they'll get that email notification so that they can come back and work with us again next year.
Okay, and thank you very much. And so just keep that, something on your calendar for the future date.
Mayor, it might be appropriate, I know a number of folks here for the partnerships, just to take maybe a 3-minute recess.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and break for about 3 to 5 minutes. Thank you.
Very nice.
It looks like all of the working people took off on us and just left the best ones here. So glad some of you are sticking with us here. All On the agenda, we're moving on to item number 23, or correction, 13 for the 23-24 proposed budget amendment.
Mayor, I believe that we had the ability,
Oh,
if
you know,
it's
I'm
the
sorry.
pleasure of the council.
I got my, my agenda here backwards. We have an item on number 16, our Public Safety Hope Team update. They're joining us here this evening from the Sheriff's Department, and we'd like to move them up to the next agenda item.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the
Been in
council.
our protection squad.
Thank you very much for taking these men and women out of chronological order. They've been up here in the Morongo Basin working all day today, and I think they're going to talk to you a little bit more about that. But as you know, our Hope Team is a support division, and I'll let Deputy DeVault from our Hope Team describe what all they do. But I have regular interactions with the town manager and town staff, as you know, for different quality of life concerns. And they're a huge resource to us assisting your Yucca Valley deputies here. So Deputy DeVault is going to describe a little bit what they do, and then following any questions, if it's okay with you. I know many of you have met our new to the Morongo Basin Lieutenant Al Huff, but he's been out with them a little bit this afternoon, and I'd like to formally introduce him to you if that would be okay.
Thank you, Captain, very much so.
Hello, I'm Brandon DeVault. I'm a representative of the San Maria County Sheriff's Department's Homeless Outreach Proactive Enforcement Team. We are a team of 4. We have 3 deputy sheriffs and a probation officer assigned to us. So we're not assigned to a specific station. We actually go out into every region Monday through Thursday. So today we're here. Tomorrow we're probably going to be in the Chino area. And then Thursday we're probably going to be in Barstow. So we have a lot of land to cover for 4 deputy sheriffs. Right, with 3 deputy sheriffs and a probation officer. So our goal when we're out there, we're not there looking for crime. Our goal is to actually take a different approach to try to get these folks to trust us, to be able to offer services, we come down to their level and try to become more of an advocate or a friend, right? We're there to be able to take off the red tape for them and assist the homeless population. So we've been here since 2014 as a full program under then Sheriff John McMahon. And now with Sheriff Dykes, he's boosted up our division. We're actually now underneath the Community Services and Reentry Division, where we actually brought all of the like-minded programs together. One of them is Inroads. They're also up here in the community. They're here at least once a week, sometimes twice. So between us and Inroads, working up here, I pulled stats from 2017 because we started keeping it a little bit different. But since 17, we've had a total contacts of 114 persons. We've assisted 27 with the direct assistance. We've referred 76 individuals to different assistance programs. House 3, veterans are 7, and then income over 800 is 37. It's hard sometimes to get an actual assisted number and an actual house number unless we bring those individuals to housing or we have a organization let us know that they house that individual. Due to HIPAA and due to other issues and red tape. So I believe, and I know my team believes, that we do have a higher assisted and a higher housed, because if we come out and we offer an individual services, we see them maybe for 3 months. We know we've connected them to that service and we come out again and they're gone and we never hear from them again. Odds are they got housed or they got help from, we're hoping from a resource, but we never find out. This year to date, we have contacted 20 unique individuals. We've assisted 4 with direct assistance, referred 20. You have 5 individuals here that have income over 800, and then you have 15 that meet the chronic homeless definition, which is being homeless on the street for a year, and then having a drug and alcohol, mental health, or physical disability component attached to them. So those are your harder individuals to serve, right? If you become homeless, usually within the first year, it's easier to get that individual to take a service. Once they've been homeless for more than a year, usually more of an onset of mental health, drugs and alcohol kicks in, and then sometimes they're more resistant to take a service, or the service that they need, we don't have the capacity for. For us, you know, it's different doing this role because when you go onto a call for service, folks expect change, right? We show up, they want an answer, they want that problem dealt with, and they want it solved. With homelessness, this is probably the hardest thing I've done in my career because I cannot show up and make a problem go away. right? These are individuals, these are someone's kid, these are someone's daughter, someone's son, and there's not enough resources out there. So for us, it's a long-term approach. We do work with the city very closely. We work with the captain here very closely. He has deputies that reach out to us. One of his detectives is actually one of our past members. We have a lot of interest up here. We look to partner with any service that is up here. We do partner with Faith-Based. Morongo Basin Arch has been a huge help for us. We have utilized them even recently. We do advocate for folks to go see them. That being said, if there's any questions you folks have, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you very much for joining us. I know it's been a long day for you being out here, and I appreciate your service in Yucca Valley very much so, but the Morongo Basin as a whole. Is there anyone in the public that has any questions, comments to the deputy? And we'll bring it back to council then.
Thank you very much, Deputy, for being here, and I appreciate what you do. I think that's a great approach that San Bernardino County has taken in helping with the homeless problem. A lot of individuals, like you said, could have services, they're just not aware of it. And also building trust is probably one of the biggest obstacles that you have, because they're out there homeless for a reason. Either somebody has let them down, or they have a substance or a mental issue, or financial issue, and so forth. So what's your method of operation? I mean, you go from community to community. Do you just depend on the local jurisdiction to give you these places to go and visit? This is a known area that needs perhaps intervention. How do you go about planning your day?
So for us, we try to pick, we have large county, right? So for us, we try to pick a different region every day. And then we work with the local stations. So you have folks here, I'll say up here in the Morongo Basin area, that reach out to us via email, phone calls, or they've handed out, they have some resource guides that we have. And then the homeless themselves will call us and they'll ask, hey, when you're up in this area, can you come see us? Maybe it's a provider reaching out. Maybe it's a provider saying, hey, we have housing. This person's come up on our list. Maybe it's supportive housing. Maybe it's drug and alcohol that says, hey, we're looking for little Johnny. Little Johnny's in Wrightwood, and if we don't get him into bed within the next 2 days, he loses that opportunity. So we do have a spot picked. We try to pick a spot every day, but depending on what we get, phone calls, maybe a station need, we do break off and go that way. I will say working up here today has been rewarding. It is not on our success. I would say it's the success of a veteran outreach group. It's the success of one of the deputy sheriffs that's been here. It's the success on inroads. And these folks have been going out to a senior couple. I believe the gentleman's in his 70s. Another older lady was with him. The gentleman has a HUD-VASH voucher, which means he's able to find housing using that veteran voucher. But they've been resistant and they've had some other barriers. Today we spent about 45 minutes and we got them to accept the help. Tomorrow a group is going to come up here, pick up their belongings and take them to an organization, to a provider that's going to be able to allow them to stay and work with them on finding their home for their HUD-VASH voucher. So that is a positive win, and that was right here in the city in Yucca.
Wonderful. How often have your team been here in Yucca Valley within this last year?
So we try to come up at least once a month, unless there's a greater need, organization reaches out. But the Inroads team, it's a deputy sheriff along with a peer advocate. You have Aging Adult Protective Services. You have a nurse from public health and behavioral health come out, and they're up here once a week and sometimes twice a week.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Always thought this was a wonderful program since I heard about it first from Sheriff McMahon. When he proposed it, and it seems to be extremely successful. I think it's being copied in other areas.
It is.
And that's it feels great to see something start here, in our community and prosper all over the country. And it's a very difficult problem. Like you say, it's a long-term problem, and it seems like you solve the problem in one locale, and then you get swamped because everybody says, oh, we got a place we can do it. Send them, and it's a lot of hard work, and I commend you for your attitude, and you're sticking to it and getting things done, and it does feel rewarding when you succeed, even if it's a little bit at a time.
So since 2014, a little bit on hope, we've had 20,000 reoccurring contacts. So I want to say it's probably close to 13 as an individual, but as a reoccurring, right? Because some of these folks, they want the service and we don't have the service, or they don't want it yet, and it's going back time after time after time for them to see, you know, these
That
guys have been
trust.
out here 4 times, they haven't run my name, they haven't taken me in jail, they're actually trying to help and they finally accept the service. We've assisted more than 6,500, we've referred 9,500, and as of yesterday, we have housed 2,981. And that's thank you again to the providers, because without the providers, we wouldn't be able to house them anywhere.
And I like the idea that it's a team of people too. There's mental health workers, there's all sorts of things involved in it that make it all function. And it's a symbol of a healthy community when you can get those people together and work as a team. And we really appreciate your effort. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you so much. I think it's really great that you're being proactive. You know, you see so many problems in the country where homelessness is out of control, and I think being proactive is really incredible. But I do want to ask you about your fellow, your comrades or your fellow sheriff's officers. Maybe I'm jumping the gun, but are they going to be speaking, or do we know who they are? And
I'll introduce.
okay,
So
thank you.
On the first gentleman here with the great hair is this is Cyril Bullag. He's newest to our team. He's actually going to be going to a program called Coast, and they're going to be going out doing mental health. So when there's a 5150 call, this team will actually respond with the officer as a pilot program and be able to hopefully give that person assistance and try to divert the unnecessary 5150 and try to get them the help they need so they can stop reutilizing the system. And this is a probation officer, Vicki Whitworth. She's assigned to our team for about the last 3 years, and this is Deputy Eric Rogers. And we're missing one more is Deputy Mike Jones. We have in the back Sergeant Kenny White. So he oversees our division and the outreach.
Okay.
Mayor, can I interject real quick to provide
please,
clarification? What I hear sometimes out in the community is, whether it be business owners or different community meetings that I go to, is, hey, we're experiencing a homeless-related issue at my business or in my neighborhood. When's the next time Hope is going to be up here? And it really starts with a call for service. When you call the non-emergency number to the Morongo Basin Station, we send a deputy sheriff out, and we do our best to deal with that issue and to provide solutions. When we get more of the long-term or the habitual homelessness, we reach out to our partners in Hope. So I never want people to hear that Hope comes here once a month or maybe sometimes twice a month and think that we wait to address that homelessness issue, you know, for 2, 3, 4 weeks. That's not the case. Today is a prime example of Deputy DeVault and his team. They come into my office first thing, and they already have a route set out of different people that they want to visit. But for example, I have a weekly meeting with the town of Yucca Valley, with Curtis and different department heads, and without getting into specifics about the individual and their privacy, the success story that they had today was brought to my attention this morning. The Hope team showed up yesterday afternoon. The Hope team came in this morning. That was one of the 3 Yucca Valley addresses that I asked them to check, and we have those quick results. So the message really is for members of the public or anybody with a concern, please reach out to us locally. If it's beyond our scope or an ongoing issue, we'll certainly reach out to our partners at Hope. But our deputy sheriffs are dealing with homelessness every day. And then obviously we have some very skilled partners who that's their full-time job. And sometimes it's just a phone call to them. Hey, is there a program? Is there something else I can be doing? So I think with their assistance, we're experiencing a lot of success.
It sounds like it, and I don't just hear about it in this room today. I do hear about it from other places. You know, there's a lot of dynamics in it. One thing that you said is, you know, someone that has in excess of a year of homelessness, along with other, you know, conditions that are contributing to that. What kind of percentage do you think you have of all of those contacts that you have? Is it high or is it fairly low of people displaced that long?
So You're talking about that meet the chronic definition?
Yes.
That's a high number. I would need to go back and actually pull, I could pull that statistic in a year, like a 1-year time frame, and definitely send you guys an email or come back and represent. That I don't know. I will say.
But it's a large part of your work, right?
Yeah. So I will say it's a good amount of number.
Okay.
It's a high number. But when you look at those folks that are over a year homeless, you're probably closer to 90%, whether they have drug, alcohol, mental health, or a co-occurring disorder.
Wow. Yeah, quite striking for sure to know that's happening, in our not just our town, but in our county and statewide. On the transition programs, you spoke a little bit, just having interaction with Arch and then other partners, which you probably saw here tonight, many of them. How do those transition plans work as far as being able to be handled somewhat local? Like we have our county mental health facility here. Is that a piece of your toolbox, and maybe the hospital and different?
So the hospital is a tool. That's more for the inroads. So the inroads, they do have it's a mental health program partner with these different entities. So they actually tap into the mental health itself. They'll tap into the medical resources. If they're, say, Aging Adult Protective Services is trying to get someone into a facility and maybe the person needs a medical clearance, or maybe he has to get some service first, they will actually go and have that person treated or get that bill of health for them to go to that program. So that's where that's being utilized. For us with Morongo Basin Arch, they've been one of the staples for our team up here. We're able to reach out to them depending on their funding, and I think most recently there was a person, I believe my partner Deputy Jones, worked with to get a person back home, right? So they have an option sometimes to do bus passes or stuff, as long as we can show that a person on the receiving end is willing to take that individual and not let them go back to the streets.
And one last thing, one of the biggest hurdles I hear over and over again is just finding a place for that individual to transition to, some type of shelter that's a little bit more regular and permanent. Do you think that's getting easier to accommodate, or is it continuing to be a hindrance for you and it's difficult?
When it comes to services, we don't have enough in this county. Out of the whole San Bernardino County, we have 290 shelter beds. If any of us became homeless tonight, there is a process to get into that shelter bed. All of us will not be going to a shelter bed tonight. We'll be waiting, and hopefully tomorrow if there's a spot. Your biggest bulk of shelter beds are going to be in San Bernardino and Victorville area for the main bulk of them. What we've learned up here is the last time, I want to say it was about a month and a half ago, we did an operation up here. The Hope team came up. We spent a full 10-hour shift. We brought all of us up here, and all we wanted to do was target the homeless population to get them as much resources as we could, spend the whole day. We actually split it in 2 days. But I believe we found 2 or 3 individuals who met criteria for housing, and the only resource provider was down the hill. These folks that are from up here, what we've learned, they want to stay here. They're connected here. They have family here. They don't want to leave here. So, for us and to you, I would advocate for more providers. It's hard to get the providers up here. You just don't, you have a need, but there's just not a lot of providers. So being resourceful or thinking outside the box or signing up for a different grant, that would allow folks to stay here and not have to rely on providers down the hill, because they don't want to leave.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
What are the requirements for a shelter? Is it something that the town can, is there a way that we can help provide those in any way, or is it, does it have to meet certain requirements?
Every shelter puts its own different, working with the city and their own requirements. I'll say, like, there's one down the hill that they have to actually prove that they're homeless. They have to have a homeless provider sign a letter of verification. I don't know the process of the one here, but for the one down the hill, that's an example of some of the barriers. So each place puts on their own.
Is the shelter, can it be an improvised empty business where it's turned into a residence, or is it an apartment building that has gone vacant and has been repurposed? Is it, what are they doing in other areas that we might be able to do?
Like San Bernardino, they actually use a church. They use a church, and then they vacate. The folks come in the evening, I think around maybe 5 or 6. They vacate in the mornings. They utilize the church. Other places utilize the old, like Victorville utilized the old military base.
Right.
There are I'm not sure, you guys would have to check with the Board of Supervisors, but there might even be opportunities still for Project Home Key, where you folks would be able to look at working with the developer and changing something into some kind of a permanent housing situation. Redlands is one of the most recent ones. They took a old motel and they turned that into, they took like 2 rooms to 1, and they actually flipped that and they made little apartments out of them. We've done that in San Bernardino. There are good outcomes for that.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for making us a part of your long day out here in the Morongo Basin. I appreciate your work. Your whole team has got a long road ahead of you. It's not going to slow down, but we appreciate us every day fighting for it.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Mayor, as promised, if okay, I'd like to introduce you to Lieutenant Al Huff briefly. As you know, Lieutenant Brandon Wiebold was previously here. Lieutenant Al Huff worked down at our Employee Resources Division, and a few months back, they actually changed positions. So Lieutenant Huff and I last worked together about 24 years ago when we were both pretty new to the department in a custody setting, and I haven't worked with him since. But the reason you don't see him a lot here is we keep him very, very busy at the station. He runs the day-to-day operations, and just today, prior to this meeting, and the reason he was last on the agenda, or the Hope team was last on the agenda, is they were over in 29 Palms at a different committee meeting. So we split duties a little bit, but he certainly speaks my voice, and he's my right hand, so I just wanted you to put a face with the name. This is Al Huff, and he should be with us here for quite a while, I would think.
Great.
All right, well, thank you for joining us tonight, Lieutenant. It's good to see you out here. We met briefly. I can't remember what event it was, though.
I'm not sure, but I believe I've met the majority of the council informally, so I guess we're kind of being formal tonight.
Yeah, but I'm glad you're here tonight.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure working up here. I'm just shy of 3 months up here so far, and absolutely amazed with the connectivity that this community has. Not to mention the staff, everybody that I've met here as well, but a lot of the community members that are up here as well. So it's a pleasure to be up here. I have a very creative mind coupled with a little bit of OCD, so I plan on leaving this place a little better than I left it, you know what I mean? So it's absolutely a pleasure to be up here.
Great.
Well, I'm glad you're here. And 24 years goes by pretty fast, huh? Just like you were working together yesterday?
It does. We've talked about it, though. We were on a softball team together back then for the department. We could all hit a little bit further and run a little bit faster. So some things have changed.
I bet the stories are just as big as ever, though.
There are a lot of things that changed over 24 years. So but it's a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me here tonight.
Thank you for being out here.
We're fortunate to have you with us.
Well, it was a long day for your team out here, and they're all just as good as ever, you know. They're willing to stay the distance. I'm glad we can move them forward, get them back where they'd like to be right now. From that then, it looks like we'll probably move over to Jordan for the 23-24 proposed budget amendment.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As the presentation loads, oh, it's already there. I'll be reviewing the fiscal year 23-24 proposed budget amendment. I'll keep this brief for everyone. They're pretty minor adjustments. Oh, my clicker. There we go. Just as a reminder, we are entering the second year of a 2-year budget cycle. So as of July 1st, we will be beginning the fiscal year 2023 through 2024 budget cycle. You'll see here, this is a familiar graphic, and we are making adjustments based off of current year trends and then updated estimates that are going into the next year. So most of the changes are to be expected or are minor. I'll point out some of the larger ones here for your review and then answer any questions at the end. So some of the reductions for major revenue sources are property tax and sales tax. That's just based off of current year trends. I would say over the past few years, the town of Yucca Valley has seen major increases to those major revenue sources, especially property tax and sales tax. And that growth trend is just slowing down because you can't expect it to stay that high for so long. So we just wanted to stay conservative and make sure that we are being realistic of expectations. So I slightly reduced those two revenue sources. Franchise fee revenues are increasing due to utility service provider rate increases. So we see that increase on our franchise rate. Transient occupancy tax is increased due to the passage of Measure K and that increased rate. So that's just an expectation of current Airbnb trends, short-term vacation rental trends, and traditional lodging trends, just with that higher rate. And then the few small adjustments to the other revenue sources for a total increase of $869,000 to the general fund revenues. Just wanted to point out, like I mentioned, for sales tax trends, you see that big increase in 2020 and 2021, and then kind of back to a normal growth trend. It goes up and down every quarter, so you'll see that as it continues, and we'll update that as the year goes on. Another major, I didn't touch on this on the summary, but for just to review, another major increase that we are expecting is just based off of our investment earnings because market rates have increased, and then also we've seen additional revenues from the Chandler investment portfolio. So just from that portfolio for the general fund revenues, we have an estimated annual income of $352,000 for Chandler, and then we also have our LAIF and money market accounts estimated, well, they're currently at 3.5 and 3%, and we'll see where those go as we continue through the year. Expenditures are based off of proposed personnel adjustments, contract safety adjustments, and then a few minor operational supply and services adjustments based off of, again, current year trends, and then requests from the departments as we look forward into the next year for what they'll need. The total expenditure increase is $882,000, and you'll see that we're still providing a balanced budget with revenues over expenditures, so we're not spending more than we expect to earn. Oh, sorry. This is just presenting the reserve policy range, so we increased that last year to 60 to 65%. We're projecting that we'll see those unrestricted reserves at 86% after these budget amendments. So when this fiscal year closes, we'll take a look again at where we're at for unrestricted reserves for 22-23, present that to council, and look at this reserve policy range again. For special revenue funds, there are just a few minor increases. Gas tax revenue estimates were provided by the state, so we realigned our estimates to decrease that based off of what they provided. SB1 funds for the annual slurry seal maintenance project are being allocated from that SB1 special revenue fund, so you'll see that project report tonight in the agenda, and that's where that funding will go. And then earlier in the year, we used capital project reserve funds to assist in additional funding for the pedestrian improvement projects that were being completed by the ETP grant. Rather than use capital project reserve funds, which are very flexible and can be used for various other capital projects for the town, we decided to have Measure I fund that project instead, since it is street improvements, and then we can have those excess funds for other options later.
Good thinking.
So that was really fast, and I'm more than happy to answer questions based off of what was presented in the agenda. I did want to mention that there is a second resolution for the authorized position list and personnel adjustments for the salary grid. The attachment in your agenda was slightly off on the positions, so none of the numbers or amounts have changed, just some of the positions listed needed to be realigned with the authorized position list. So I've included that for council and then any public review if they want a copy. So the staff recommendation is to adopt a resolution amending the fiscal year 23-24 general fund and special revenue fund budgets, and then adopt a resolution authorizing positions for fiscal year 23-24 and pay ranges for those positions with an effective payroll date on July 21st, 2023. That concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer questions after public comment.
Thank you, Jordan, for that review of the budget amendment. Anyone in the public want to speak on this item, item number 13? Seeing none online? Nothing? Bringing it back to council?
As common for you, Jordan, you give us a wealth of information in a clear and concise manner, and it always amazes me that it seems so well planned out, and the flexibility and the forethought of where to take the money to use different things, and the idea of funding that is, it could be taken from different piles, but you take it from the pile that's most appropriate and allows the most flexibility in the future, and I like that. You always position us in a conservative manner for us to allow flexibility in the future funding, and I like the 2-year budget plan. It allows for a lot of things, like maybe part of what we did today where we granted more funds than we thought we were going to, and it's really useful and helpful for us, and it allows us to do a better job. And I thank you very much for all the work you put into this and the staff that makes it possible. Thank you.
All right, with that, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we approve as staff recommended for item number 13 for the 23-24 proposed budget amendments.
And I have one question. I'll second that after my question. But my question is, you had stated that the property tax, you adjusted it down. Is it because we were projecting higher continued property taxes and now we have to readjust? Because I know properties aren't going down in value, but maybe the
So within that property tax line item, there's a couple different revenue sources. So there's our secured property tax that comes from market value or assessed values of properties. And then there's a couple smaller items. So one is a document transfer tax where we receive a payment for every time a property is sold. And with the amount of transactions we had in the past few years, that dollar amount was high. We're seeing less turnover, not necessarily less value in the home. So I just wanted to make sure that we're not expecting that. So it's a pretty minor adjustment in overall on property tax.
And you like to be very conservative. I understand. Appreciate that. And then the other one is, do you see long-term, I mean, we can't predict the future, but is the state of California going to see that the gas taxes are going to continue to go down and down and down as we transition to electric vehicles? Is that a long-term downward trend?
So we have consultants on sales tax that provide us kind of insight and statewide, so I can provide those reports that they give us to council, and then if public ever wants to ask, they are public documents. So they would provide those estimates as we go forward, but that would be probably an easy assumption to make that more electric vehicles. But then you're using more electricity, and there's franchise fees for that, so maybe it balances.
Oh, I got you. All right, and I'll second the mayor's motion.
Any other comments? Then roll call, please.
Councilmembers Abel?
Yes.
Droz?
Yes.
Lombardo?
Yes.
And Mayor Dennison?
Yes. We're going to move on to item number 14. This is resolution number 23, and Alex, Public Works Director, will give us a staff report.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. The recommendation before you tonight is that for the Council to adopt the resolution approving the allocation of the town's fiscal year 23-24 SB1 Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Account, better known as RMRA funds, estimated at the amount of $595,457, approving the associated project list for expenditure of the RMRA funds as the town's project for fiscal year 23-24, and direct staff to publish and transmit the approved project list to the California Transportation Commission and any other required state agencies in accordance with the legislative requirement. Just a background, that is, on April 28 of 2017, the governor signed Senate Bill SB1, which is known as the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017, to address basic road maintenance, rehabilitation, and critical safety needs on both state and local roads. SB1 increases is per gallon fuel excess taxes, diesel fuel sales taxes, and vehicle registration fees, and provide the adjustments to the tax rates in future years. So the RMRA funds projected for 2023-24 revenues is based on the California Department of Finance, estimated released with the governor's proposal budget May 24, 2023. The town of Yucca Valley is expected to receive the allocation of $595,563 in fiscal year 23-24. That can be used for the road maintenance and rehabilitation. So staff recommends using the RMRA funds as identified in the attachment A attached to the staff report for the townwide annual Slurry/Cape Seal maintenance program. That concludes staff report. I will be more than happy to answer any questions after public comments.
Thank you very much for that staff report. Anyone in the audience like to speak on this item? Item number 14. Seeing none, nothing online. Back to council.
Alex, on the page 174 that shows highlighted red, those are the areas in which you're talking about the slurry seal application?
174?
Or 174, 14B, packet 174.
Yes, it's not colored, but yes, that is usually it's a colored, but the 175 will tell you what is the streets are we doing.
Okay, because in that, I'm looking at the chart, on the other side, it shows just a few streets in that whole neighborhood, just a few of them that are not highlighted in red. Are there reasons why those aren't being resealed?
Could be because that has been sealed before. So we are in a program we do slurry seal for different streets every year. So that is meaning that these roads have been slurry sealed before, or it's going to be slurry sealed in the next few years.
As a neighbor, I would be like PO'd if everybody around me got their road done and then mine didn't. So I'd like to know, eventually, I'm sure staff could look into it.
Sure.
We will double check and make sure that the rationale for not being included is valid. So it can be that they've been done previously, or it could be they're in such horrible condition that the slurry seal is not going to benefit them at all, and that would be not an appropriate expenditure. But we will double check all those streets, because without a doubt, there is asphalt envy in every community.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
when your neighbor gets a black road and you don't, people want to know why. So we fully understand.
Yeah, and I have to go to the grocery store with those people, and I have to go to church with those people, and I have to go a lot of places with those people. Yeah, so if we can find out why, and again, if they're all around, they're going to get that taken care of, and we need to do something else for those other roads. I'd like to see an option on that. But thank you so much for the presentation.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll just say I appreciate the work that we do to maintain the roads that we have that are in good enough condition to deserve that maintenance. There are some in our town that are still looking for a little bit more love than what we're offering with Cape or slurry seals, but overall, our roads are in pretty darn good condition, I'll have to say, for being a desert area. With that, I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the item.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Zabel?
Yes.
Droz?
Yes.
Lombardo?
Yes.
And Mayor Dennison?
Yes. So our last item for the evening is item number 15, update on the Yucca Valley Sports Complex Master Plan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The recommendation before you tonight is that the council authorizes the release of the request for a proposal for the Yucca Valley Sports Complex Master Plan. As you all know, the town of Yucca Valley is soliciting requests for a proposal from qualified firms, consultants, to assist the town of Yucca Valley with a master plan of the Yucca Valley Sports Complex. That area that include the Boys and Girls Club, the Tri-Valley Little League, the Brim Park, and of course the upcoming, the Yucca Valley Aquatic and Recreation Center. So in order for us to, to tie all of this together and to have like a master plan of what is improvement we need to see in the area, we would like the consultant to come in and talk to the Boys and Girls Club to get their opinion and what they want to see, talk to the Tri-Valley Little League and talk to them about what they would like to see. Of course, the council member and our number one boss in this area is the residents, and see how can we make that and come up with a list of a project that is we would like to do in the future to make it appear. Let's put it this way: the aquatic center is going to be one of the most attended facility in town, and it's not only by town residents. It's going to be, regional wide. This is going to be like from all over the place that people would like to come and try it and see it. And so we wanted to tie the area with aesthetically pleasing, maybe landscaping, maybe, asphalt, rehabbing, or like, maybe asphalt, stamping to make it appearance. And then, of course, after the undergrounding is happening, now all of this area become open. So we wanted the consultant to come in and tell us, okay, you know what? This is a list project that you need to do, that is to make it aesthetically pleasing. So if you approve this tonight, the schedule will be, we will release the RFP by tomorrow. The due date for it will be in July 20th. And the review for proposal will take between July 24th and August 11th. And council will be seeing that. I believe that second meeting is dark, but hopefully by October 1st, by first meeting in October. That concludes the staff report. Be happy to answer any questions following public comments.
Anyone in the audience like to speak on this item number 15, our sports complex master plan? See no one? No one online, and back to council for comments?
So it's just exploring the opportunity or the possibilities of what we might want to do with the entire facilities down there, sports complex facility. Yeah, I'm in favor of that because, you know, it all has to tie in together aesthetically as well as, you know, practically as far as coming and going and so forth. And as you said, we're going to have a lot of people coming and using that facility, so it'd be nice to make it look wonderful. I want to make sure, obviously, that any of the funding that's required doesn't interfere with some of the priority projects that we already have. We have a pretty big list of things we'd like to see improvements on. So I wouldn't want to see, well, I guess we'd have to evaluate whether other things could have to wait or get pushed to the side or downgraded or whatever. But I'm in favor of exploring the opportunity to tie that whole facility together. It's been in our master plan for a long time. So I think that's forward thinking. I think it all has to blend together. Otherwise, it just doesn't look right. It just wouldn't flow correctly.
Councilmember Droz?
Yes, I agree. I think I agree with Councilmember Abel. It's kind of like when you buy an old house, like a cabin, and you add on to it, then you do another addition and another addition. And it never quite looks quite right. And we're looking at different entities here that came at different times. And yeah, it would be nice to pull it all together so it looked like it's all together in one thing. So I agree.
I agree also. It's nice. Aesthetics are important to me, and I think our town has been moving in the right direction now for a while, and I want to see it continue. And I've always been very proud of our forward-looking and the way that I think the community will benefit from a coordinated plan of synergistic uses and access and aesthetics in that area. I think it'll be a good upgrade, especially when we're spending so much money on the aquatic center. We want it to fit in to an area as well. So I think I'm excited about the changes in the area. I think it'll be
Yeah,
great.
and anything we can do on that master plan or looking at things to help maybe cut down the amount of maintenance in certain areas or things that with design that would help alleviate manpower and staffing, that would be great. So some zero-scaping or things like that.
You know, we always said that when someone needed more, they built more, and so we're going to build our own Biltmore over here. So I'd like the thought here and the goals for the plan here was to gather input from the community was one of the bullet points, and the other one was online engagement tools. Are the engagement tools something that the community itself can look at and monitor as this plan is being developed?
Yes.
So they'll be able to have almost real-time viewing of what we're starting to talk about to be able to engage with those items that maybe we would like to hear more about from their point of view.
That's correct.
Okay, I really like that, and I like the timeline for updates, and yeah. So far, looks very good. It's long overdue. I think we have a lot of excellent activities there. It's the flow now that we have to start getting together.
Exactly.
And this is what we need to do to make it right. So thank you for that. So I'll look for a motion.
I'll move that we approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Council members Abel,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Lombardo,
Yes.
and Mayor Dennison.
Yes. So you get to go back to work tomorrow.
Will do.
Yeah, that's a big project. Thank you very much. So we'll bring it back here to council for any future agenda items?
No, not from me.
I think we've got plenty of on the work plan here. So we'll bring it back to public comment for the public here and online. The town council takes its time to consider your comments on items of concern which are not on the agenda. When you're called to speak, please state your name, community of residence. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Inappropriate behavior which disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting will result in forfeiture of your public comment privileges. The town council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussion on the items not on the printed agenda, but we'd love to hear it. So anyone have any comments this evening? Leslie, did we have some comment cards?
We have 2 requests to speak. The first one is Larry Markey,
Okay.
followed by Tricia Labrie.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Tricia, and I am from the Center for Spiritual Living, and I'm here today to thank the council, Curtis Yakima and Jim Schooler, who's not here, for the wonderful cleanup that they did on our street. We are so grateful. We are so grateful. They've been there for many years, and it was just awful. And they got it together, they just pulled it off, and we talked and we had wonderful conversations, via email and text messages, and it was done, and all I can say is that we're just grateful, very, very grateful. And I brought cookies. They're individually wrapped because we know this is a time when, people are being very careful about, eating food that isn't wrapped. So anyway, help yourself to cookies. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and appreciate you taking the time to tell us. And the word must have got out, but we really like cookies here. It's been a theme. So thank you. Appreciate it.
So next we have Larry Markey.
All right. Thank you for coming, Larry.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen, councilmen in this case, and our town manager. I just want to put a little bit of background to what Ms. Tricia says, that we came together, Tricia and I, came together with a committee to support the idea of improving Bannock Trail, which had a abused and neglected and derelict property that was overflowing trash and biohazards all over our neighborhood. So we had some success with that because of your support and the town manager's support to clean up that property. And you cannot imagine how it looked then, because it looks so much better now. But it brings us to a bigger question, and that is that cleanup is a very important area of any town, and the more we can do as a group and as a community and as neighbors to clean up everything we see that degrades the quality of life in Yucca Valley, I think we all want to do that. It took a long time to clean up that property, and I think that has to improve because the torturing of the neighbors for such a long time is not appropriate.
Yeah.
So there has to be a more concerted and determined effort to get things done quicker than happened in this particular property. And there also is some feeling that the property owner, who was, in my opinion, a total slumlord, had some priority over the neighbors. And I don't think that should ever be possible when an absentee owner takes any priority over the local neighbors. So those two issues, I believe, have to be considered so we can improve the look of our town and what is that expression? Cleanliness is next to godliness. So we want to make this town as clean as possible. And Tricia and I, with the committee that we put together, with our concerted effort and your support, we were able to do that at that property. We now have the idea that we may want to have a annual cleanup day. So that will be the next project that we get involved with, because lots of people came to support us on this. Lots of people like the idea of things being clean. And I'm sure everyone agrees with that. So I leave you with the thought that timing is important. The sooner we do things, the sooner things get cleaned up, the less trash comes later, because that's exactly what's happening right now. People have been trashing this property for so long. Now we're seeing some residue come. So we want to eliminate those kind of problems. And we can. So we just have to move quicker, and we have to be determined as neighbors that neighbors have to come first in any community. And as long as we all agree on that, and by the way, I feel a very positive feeling in this council meeting tonight. I'm very happy to be here. First time in 23 years I've lived in this town, first time I've come to a council meeting. I'm delighted to do so.
Well, thank you for being here tonight. We really appreciate you making comments for us. And
thank you very much.
And recognizing the work that our town staff does. With that, then we'll bring it back to staff, speaking of them.
Captain, do you have anything this evening?
Just briefly, Mayor and Council, I appreciate you having the flexibility to let my team go out of turn, and that was great, and they're more than happy to come up and present whenever there's a need. Also, I regularly brag about my team and some of the stuff that we're doing, but just want to throw a shout out to town staff on this and the communication. I've heard it a couple of times tonight. Once with the couple that was living in the vehicle that came from a weekly meeting that I have with town staff, and we were able to assist some individuals today. And then our last speaker mentioned Bannock Trail, and I've conversed with the town manager on multiple occasions. It's been frustrating because this is something that code enforcement's been involved in, and a property gets boarded up and boards get taken down and deputies go out and people move out and people move back in. But it does take a village, and the communication has been outstanding, much better than some other places that I've previously worked. So I think you have some good communication going. I think we have mutual goals that we're accomplishing, maybe not as fast as everybody wants, but things are moving in the right direction. We're happy to be part of it.
Very good.
Thanks, Captain. Deborah or Alex, you have anything? Jordan? Shane? I have a couple of items to go through. So I guess I'll start with thanking Ms. Labrie and Mr. Markey for coming today. They indicated that the town manager worked on this project. This truly is a town team issue. As the captain indicated, we've met at a team level on a whole variety of issues. But an item like this requires multiple departments, myself, Shane and his entire team. We have the captain and his team working on it. This one even required review from the town attorney's office on potential alternatives. We had Public Works have to come out during weekends when stuff was left in the roadway. We have code compliance involved in it, and so it's truly a team effort to try and solve these. Very, very frustrating when we have landlords that don't take their responsibilities seriously and let the condition of their properties deteriorate to the level that it did. And quite frankly, Bannock Trail was a disaster and it was an embarrassment. We understand that. We wish we could move faster. We're prescribed to do certain actions when we try to mitigate or want to mitigate certain properties. We have to follow certain procedures. We're going to make sure that we do that to keep the town in the safest position possible. So thank you for coming out today and for your comments. We do appreciate that. A couple of reminders. July 4th is coming up just a couple of weeks. Town's fireworks show will be at Brem Park. Gates open at 6. Concerts at 6:30 to 8:30. At 9 o'clock we have fireworks. The mayor has been so kind to host that and provide some comments there around 8:30 on July 4th. So we invite everybody to the event. The music for the evening is Billy Joel tribute. So if you like Billy Joel music, pretty easy to listen to for sure. Our aquatics program, after, I don't know, we'll talk about ribbon cutting in a minute, but on our way back, I don't know if you noticed all the cars by the high school. Stop by there. The program is up and running. There's a good number of people taking classes both in the morning and then as late as 5, 6 o'clock, we have activities going on all day. So for any of the public that's interested, excuse me, for any of the public that's interested, they can just go to our website, identify what classes they're still interested in, and participate that way. This past Saturday, we had our Family Fun Day here. It was a magic-based theme, and by all accounts, we've been told that there was about 1,200 participants, so very, very well attended. We're going to get an additional update from the museum staff, from recreation staff, and at some point, we'll bring that back to the council for your information. Let's see. Measure Y, the funding that you did today, I think, was just a highlight of how important Measure Y is to this community. It's funding that is everything from our contract with San Bernardino County Sheriff for public safety, which is council's top priority, to infrastructure that we talked about with Alex and his team today, to quality of life and all of the nonprofits that were here. All of that made possible by Measure Y. So we can't ever overstate the importance of that program to this community and are very grateful for their support. And then lastly, we have a couple of pictures from earlier this evening. We had the ability to get out and do a couple of fun things. This was the ribbon cutting for the pedestrian improvements there on Onaga. So pretty good looking council there, and then 2 people on the ends that had no business being there. So this was some kind of Beatles makeover picture that I had no clue what they wanted to do, but I just stood in the middle of the road and took the picture. And then this is a groundbreaking today for the Essig Park improvements. That project will be moving forward rapidly, starting I think tomorrow. So super excited about that. I think the long-term impacts that that program and project will have will be well welcomed in the community. So thank you to the council for making it out there today. We do appreciate that. So that's it, Mayor. Thank you for your time today.
You said you were going to keep those pictures private.
No, never. I did.
That was a wonderful day. It was a good day.
I apologize. I missed. Jessica told me that she wanted to give an update today. So go ahead, Jessica.
I wanted to let the council know and remind the public that this Saturday, June 24th, is our free residential community cleanup day. So it's going to be held from 8 to 12 at Burtek's new transfer station, which is located at 58925 Sunny Slope Drive. We're looking forward to a big turnout. We haven't had a community cleanup in a while, so we are looking forward to having this one. And now that Burtek's transfer station is open, we're hoping to hold this twice a year would be great, so we can get back into the routine of helping our community keep their yards and their garages and their everything else cleaned and bulky items removed. So they can bring appliances, furniture, electronic waste, green waste, and a limit of 4 tires.
Wow.
So everyone's welcome.
Thank you for that. I was going to mention that due to our speakers this evening talking about cleaning up in the area, and our the relationship we have with Burtek has been really good, and they're expanding these opportunities for us, as you can see, to clean up. I was driving around just yesterday in town, and it was right off of one of our main roads in town. I don't want to say where it was at. And there's a couch just thrown on the side of the road and a microwave oven. It wasn't in front of a house, it was just on the street. And we have places and ways to do that for no charge, and hopefully we'll take advantage of it. So we'll start, we can go on now to Mayor and council member reports. I'll start off again with Council Member Abel.
Well, I thank the Sheriff's Department's presentation today. I appreciate them. It's always really great when you have deputies or even any individual come and to talk about how much of a great experience they have in Yucca Valley. Sometimes they don't know Yucca Valley and so forth, and then they find out, wow, the community is something special. So we all know that, but it's so fun to hear these people from out of town come and share, wow, how much they've enjoyed Yucca Valley and the interaction they have with people out here. I wanted to thank all the citizens of Yucca Yucca Valley that voted for Measure Y to allow funding for these nonprofits and these programs that we saw tonight. Without the support of Measure Y, we couldn't be doing a lot of these street improvements. We couldn't be doing these park upgrades. We couldn't be doing a whole lot of really great quality programming. We wouldn't have the additional sheriff's units and so forth in the community. Measure Y has been an incredible benefit to the community, and I'm glad to see just so many great programs receiving some funding tonight. My grandson's 4 years old. They just recently moved back into the Yucca Valley area, and it's been so amazing to see the impact that some of our town programs have on a 4-year-old. He is like a regular attendee of the museum. So if you see attendance numbers going up, it's my grandson going almost every other day. He wants to go to the museum. He just loves it there. And the staff is always so friendly and accommodating to everybody that walks in that museum. My grandson also did his first swim lesson again this year and had a wonderful time with the swim instructor, and everything was so well organized. It'll even be more fantastic when we have the indoor pool built. So it's sort of neat. You know, we have these programs, and I haven't had a 4-year-old in my life for a long time to see just the joy and the activities they're able to experience. Went to the magic show, he just absolutely loved it. I don't remember us having that before, but it was a really great experience for him. And I know there's like a MOPS group, it's mothers of preschoolers that are taking advantage of all this programming for young children, and they're participating. So they go as a group, and they go and participate. So anyway, I want to thank those people for being here tonight and for those programs that received funding. Had one question for legal counsel. I was wondering, am I allowed to accept the cookies? Is that going to be okay? All right. Okay, great. Fantastic. Thank you for bringing the cookies tonight.
I think as long as you get rid of the evidence.
Won't be a problem.
That'll be no problem.
Anyway, I just want to say thank you to the Sheriff's Department. They're always quick to react every time I've called them. And with hearing everything about hope tonight, that's pretty incredible. So thank you for all you do. And everybody else at the table, Deborah, Alex, and Jordan, we appreciate all you do. We don't always mention the left table from my viewpoint. But anyway, thank you so much. And I guess that's it. I'm looking forward to 4th of July and seeing what kind of 4th of July songs Billy Joel has. So we'll see, or Billy Joel Sound-alike has. But it sounds like fun. And it's amazing, all the people that showed up tonight and commented, and all the awards. Measure Y is incredible. The community supporting all of these nonprofits, or all these community, what do you call it? Community programs. Thank you. And I want to thank Councilmember Abel for bringing up adding more money to fund some other programs. So I really appreciate that thought, and I think that was a good idea. And that's it. Thank you.
And Mayor Pro Tem?
I hope everybody that attended and those that watched online got a sense of the community that exists here. Everybody got along. We got a lot accomplished. We were able to do more than we had planned to. And a lot of those funds were available through Measure Y, which is a community supported through an election on a tax measure, which will be again in the future. We plan to have that Measure Y to be renewed on a basis of every, 10 years? Or in that time frame kind of thing. We didn't want to pass a tax that just kept going and kept going without reason. But I think that we've demonstrated, and with the people involved in the different committees to appropriate where the money went, you can see that the money was used appropriately and for great benefit of our community. And I think it's a program worth revoting for in the future when that comes up. And I really feel proud of the way that the money gets used. And we have a lot of people to thank for that. Great committee that appropriates or gives suggestions on where that should be used, the Appropriations Committee. And it was a very nice presentation from the Sheriff's Department tonight. It's nice that we have such a good working relationship with our Sheriff's Department, and very proud of all the officers and the way that they treat our community with respect and yet keep us safe, and innovative ideas that come out of the Sheriff's Department. It's wonderful that we're trying and we're making some progress in the homeless thing. It's going to be a long time battle, but it's an important one that we fight. It's nice to be part of a community where there are so many nonprofits and volunteers in all these nonprofits that improve the quality of life for those in our community. And the synergy of everybody working together does make a better place, and I'm so proud to be part of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I want to say I started my day off with getting information from the community. So I have coffee with the mayor the first Tuesday of the month, same day as the council meeting. And it's one of the ways that we try and figure out what the community wants. Here, we're structured on an agenda. We really can't speak off the agenda. We love to hear public comments, but we can't take action on it. That's just the law. We want to make sure everybody knows about it. But Coffee with the Mayor, you have an opportunity to come in, say the things that are on your mind, and sometimes we get some pretty abstract ideas, and they work out. They're fruitful. And sometimes we just put them on the back burner for a while and figure it out. But it's always nice, so I hope people can continue to come to those kinds of events that are off agenda. We have a better time to bring up ideas. Congratulations to all the Measure Y recipients. They all make a difference in our community, and it's a great investment for us. And I really appreciate Captain the Hope team coming down today, taking the time out of their day. I think it was a long day for them, but they always had a smile on their face, so I'm very thankful. We had a good day today. Also, prior to this meeting, we went over to the dog park. You saw the silly pictures up there. Dog park is highly valued in our community. We've learned there's a lot of comments about it, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, and how we should do it. And that's what got us to where we are today. So that dog park's coming along. And other than that, we are not going to have our next regularly scheduled meeting because it's on July 4th. And of course, that's the holiday. You've already heard about the concert in the park, followed up by our fireworks spectacular. And the reason is for the independence of this country. So we're going to celebrate that. I'll be there, and I'm lucky enough to have been asked to host the event there. So I might get on the stage and tell a worn-out dad joke. Had a few left over I didn't use last week. So the next regular meeting for the Yucca Valley Town Council will be on Tuesday, July 18th, 2023, 6 p.m. right here in the Yucca Valley Community Room. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Well done.